Every so often, you sense the world slowing down in the dead of night. The clock stands at 3 a.m., and in that murky hour, rumors swirl that the veil between realms pulls apart. Some people label these talks as mere superstition. Others swear it's a hidden doorway for life-altering encounters. Why exactly do countless stories, from ancient folklore to modern-day viral videos, point to this one specific time? Could it be just a trick of the mind, brought on by exhaustion? Or is there truly something extraordinary pulsing through the darkness? If you've ever felt a sudden jolt awake in the early morning, you're not alone. Many who've experienced a 3 a.m. awakening describe the moment in dramatic terms. Some whisper that it's cursed. Others testify it's the sweetest invitation from above. Controversies abound. Skeptics say it's all hype, while believers declare it's the ultimate pivot point for those daring enough to seize it. Yet behind every rumor lies a kernel of truth, and what you'll discover about 3 a.m. might just challenge your every assumption. This is more than just a discussion of eerie tales or goosebump-worthy anecdotes. It's about the sheer possibility of transformation that people claim is unlocked when the rest of the world sleeps. Whether you lean toward the paranormal, the spiritual, or the purely psychological, the stories linked to 3 a.m. spark unending debates. Strap in, because we're heading into the heart of that debate right now, unveiling the controversies and revelations that swirl around the so-called witching hour and its alleged counterpart, the divine appointment. For centuries, different cultures have attached a special significance to the dark stretch between midnight and sunrise. Medieval folklore describes it as the hour when malevolent forces are free to roam, unbridled by the bustle of daytime. Some claimed that witches, spirits, or entities with ill intentions became especially potent after the clock struck 3 a.m. The term witching hour arose from these shadowy tales, conjuring a mental image of hooded figures chanting incantations under a pale moon. Over time, those stories trickled down through generations, eventually finding a home in modern media. But that wasn't the whole story. In certain spiritual traditions, particularly within Abrahamic faiths, 3 a.m. has an entirely different connotation, a sacred hour for communion with the divine. Monastic communities practiced nighttime prayer vigils long before the internet popularized the idea of 3 a.m. as a supernatural phenomenon. They believed the early morning stillness made the connection to the spiritual realm more palpable. These faithful individuals approached 3 a.m. with reverence, seeing it as a time to draw closer to God, to receive clarity, and sometimes to gain revelations that altered the course of their lives. Fast forward to recent years, and you'll see how this hour has become a magnet for viral YouTube videos labeled 3 a.m. challenges. People stay awake intentionally to attempt bizarre dares, like phoning random numbers or exploring haunted locations. Critics often dismiss these stunts as manufactured drama, complaining that much of the content is staged. Yet the sheer volume of these posts testifies to an unbroken fascination. It's as if we can't stop asking, what if something truly magical or truly menacing does happen when the clock hits 3? The internet thrives on controversy, and the 3 a.m. topic ignites an endless stream of debates. On one side are those who claim that continuing to dabble in 3 a.m. rituals, like filming spirit-invoking pranks, invites real danger. They suggest that even joking around can unknowingly open spiritual doors you can't easily close. Accusations of demonic interference and paranormal experiences abound, backed by anecdotal evidence from people who say they witnessed horrifying visions or had trouble sleeping for weeks afterward. Others push back, stating these claims are hyped-up nonsense. They insist that any supernatural experiences at 3 a.m. are the product of heightened imagination. The human brain, after all, is more susceptible to suggestion when exhausted. Psychologists argue that the mix of low lighting, sleep deprivation, and heightened anticipation can produce illusions or intensify nightmares, giving credence to stories of cursed experiences. Then come the rumors that are less about the macabre and more about radical personal breakthroughs. Thread after thread on social media detail how individuals have awakened at 3 a.m. with surges of inspiration, clarity about major life decisions, or sudden conviction to start that business they'd been mulling for years. Some interpret this as a purely physiological phenomenon, your brain hitting a creative spike during an unusual sleep cycle, while others view it as nothing short of divine prompting. Beneath all these viewpoints lies one common theme: 3 a.m. is anything but ordinary. Tucked away within all these heated discussions is a belief that 3 a.m. offers a rendezvous point, a sacred appointment set by God or a higher power. Believers in this viewpoint describe feeling gently awakened at precisely 3 a.m. over and over, as if an unseen presence is prompting them. For them, it's less about conjuring illusions and more about receiving heavenly guidance. They insist that ignoring such nudges might be missing a critical chance to connect with the source of all wisdom. According to these perspectives, the hush of 3 a.m. fosters an intimate conversation between the Creator and the human soul. The day's distractions have faded. The stress of work and family responsibilities lies dormant, if only for a while. Enthusiasts of these ideas love to quote anecdotal triumphs. A single parent who prayed at 3 a.m. nightly and saw an unforeseen scholarship for their child, or an entrepreneur who found the courage to pivot careers after meditating consistently at this dark hour. But there's also a dramatic sense of urgency among those who treat it like a final invitation. Some religious teachers preach that if you repeatedly sense a pull to pray or reflect at 3 a.m., ignoring it could delay the blessings intended for you. They say that missing this final call might keep you locked in a cycle of frustration or spiritual stagnation. Though these claims can sound alarmist, the underlying message is that 3 a.m. might be your best shot at total alignment, if you're willing to get out of bed and seize it. Yet people who view 3 a.m. as a divine appointment don't just rely on abstract theology or tradition. They point to stories of tangible transformations, especially among those who found themselves waking consistently at that hour and decided to pray, journal, or meditate rather than scroll their phones. Testimonies swirl around social media about individuals who overcame crippling anxiety, discovered miraculous financial relief, or experienced dramatic reconciliations with loved ones. And what happened next would shock everyone who believed the 3 a.m. phenomenon was mere superstition. A father whose child lay in the hospital claimed that daily 3 a.m. prayer sessions coincided with an inexplicable recovery doctors struggled to explain. A woman who had wrestled with years of depression posted about how a nightly routine of 3 a.m. gratitude lists seemed to bring renewed vitality and hope. Are these simply the brain's coping mechanisms, or are we witnessing a real spiritual synergy at work? Critics often argue that these outcomes spring from the power of suggestion. Once you expect something amazing to happen, you start noticing every small positive change. But even if that's partly true, the results can still be monumental for the people involved. The moment your mind latches on to the idea of possibility, energy and creativity often surge. Whether you call it the law of attraction, the power of prayer, or the placebo effect, the result is the same. Breakthroughs that seem to stem from an inexplicable 3 a.m. spark. Of course, not everyone sees 3 a.m. as a gentle invitation. Some interpret it as a battlefield for spiritual warfare, a time when negative forces take advantage of your vulnerability. Stories persist of nightmares so vivid people wake up drenched in sweat, convinced that something sinister tried to seize control of their minds. In certain religious communities, believers are encouraged to be on guard during these early hours, reciting prayers or scriptural promises to ward off unseen attacks. Yet within these same faith circles, there's also teaching that precisely because 3 a.m. may be rife with spiritual tension, it becomes the ideal moment for forging a powerful connection with God. If negative forces roam, then so do protective forces, angels, benevolent energies, or the presence of the divine, ready to shield the faithful. Many quote that adversity can push you closer to breakthroughs. As a result, 3 a.m. becomes simultaneously the scariest and most sacred part of the night. Controversy flares here too. Some leaders caution that focusing too heavily on spiritual warfare can heighten fear, ironically giving negativity more space in your thoughts. Others say ignoring the potential for genuine spiritual conflict leaves you open to deception. It's a fine line between healthy awareness and destructive obsession. Regardless, these conflicting views reinforce one key point. 3 a.m. refuses to be pinned down as purely good or purely evil. It's a nuanced interplay where your own mindset, intentions, and faith can tip the balance. When you peel back the layers, you find the stories of hidden blessings that 3 a.m. allegedly delivers. Struggling entrepreneurs talk about how, after a month of late-night prayers or meditations, they landed contracts they never expected. People weighed down by generational debt speak of stumbling upon unexpected financial windfalls, ranging from insurance payouts they'd forgotten about to job promotions that came out of left field. Although skeptics dismiss these as coincidences, those experiencing them remain convinced something more profound is at play. It's not just about money. Emotional and physical healings are a recurring theme in these accounts. Consider the once bitter individual who let go of lifelong resentments during a 3 a.m. prayer, only to find that chronic migraines disappeared soon after. Or the married couple on the brink of separation who spontaneously awoke one night and spent hours talking candidly, realizing their issues boiled down to misunderstanding rather than irreconcilable differences. They credit that pivotal conversation to a nudge from beyond, arriving at precisely 3 a.m. Skeptics chime in to say that less noise and fewer electronic distractions make these revelations more likely at night. But believers argue that the hush of 3 a.m. isn't just environmental convenience. It's a designed moment for deep spiritual work. Whether it's answered prayers or newfound courage, it seems that powerful transformations often hide in plain sight during the quiet hours, waiting for someone, maybe even you, to wake up and notice them. But that wasn't the entire narrative either. You can't talk about 3 a.m. without acknowledging the potency of human intention. Several spiritual teachers insist that prayers spoken or meditations done in this thinly veiled hour carry a special energetic weight. In psychological circles, a similar concept exists. The brain can be extraordinarily receptive when we're half awake, bridging conscious and subconscious states. This synergy might explain why repeating affirmations or journaling aspirations at 3 a.m. can feel more impactful. Then there are the testimonies of angelic presence. Some describe perceiving warmth or lightness enveloping them mid-prayer, as though an invisible entity arrived to give comfort or guidance. Conversely, others report sensations of dread or bizarre encounters that they interpret as demonic. In both scenarios, the common thread is that forces beyond ordinary perception seem more active or noticeable at this time. Whether you chalk that up to a spiritual dimension or a quirk of brain chemistry, the experiences can be eerily vivid. So, how can the average person harness these possibilities without feeling lost in a sea of conflicting lore? One practical approach is to establish a specific 3 a.m. routine, brief but purposeful. That might involve keeping a journal by your bed, jotting down whatever thoughts surface when you stir awake, or whispering a brief prayer of gratitude. The key is sincerity. If you're rushing through a checklist, you likely won't experience much. But if you open yourself with genuine intention, whatever your spiritual or philosophical background, things can shift in surprising ways. A single, one-off 3 a.m. experience is intriguing, but many people who share their transformative journeys emphasize consistency. It's the ongoing decision to respond to that nighttime stirring, night after night, that seems to yield bigger revelations. Even if nothing remarkable happens at first, repeated practice can rewire your mindset or deepen your spiritual awareness. Over time, minor insights might accumulate into a radical life shift. For some, these personal awakenings become the springboard into discovering their true calling. Picture the artist who had given up on painting long ago, only to feel an irresistible urge at 3 a.m. to revisit the canvas, or the unemployed office worker who got up at that hour to pray for direction, then felt an inexplicable push to apply for an unadvertised position, ultimately landing the job that changed their entire trajectory. Stories like these don't guarantee a magical formula, but they sure add fuel to the belief that 3 a.m. is a potent catalyst. In the end, we can't ignore the possibility that the intangible hush of 3 a.m. can unlock something deeply personal within each of us. For some, it might indeed be a time of gentle communion with a loving God. For others, it could be the perfect hour to break away from digital noise and reset intentions for the next chapter of life. If you decide to embrace the call, you may find yourself stepping into realms of clarity, peace, or purpose that daytime routines rarely unveil. And if none of that resonates with you, if you believe it's all myth, then at least you'll have explored an age-old phenomenon that continues to fascinate countless souls across centuries. 3 a.m. stands at a unique crossroads, both revered and feared, championed by some as a pipeline to miracles, dismissed by others as superstitious nonsense. It has been labeled the witching hour, the devil's hour, and in stark contrast, a divine appointment for those seeking a closer bond with the unseen. Where do you land on this spectrum of belief? Are you curious enough to set your alarm and see what happens? Or is this just another viral sensation we'll eventually outgrow? No matter which side of the argument speaks to you, the chatter surrounding 3 a.m. persists for a reason. People claim real transformations, relationships salvaged, finances revived, illnesses lifted, hearts restored. Skeptics say the mind plays tricks at night. Perhaps it's both. The only way to know is to consider trying it yourself, stepping into that hush with an open mind, or simply letting the tales of 3 a.m. remain an untested mystery. So the next time you stir from sleep and the clock blinks 3 a.m., pay attention. Does a sense of anticipation well up in you, or do you shrug, close your eyes, and drift back to dreams? Either choice can shape your path. If you choose to stay awake and explore, you just might find that the darkest part of the night holds a spark of something bigger than you ever imagined. And if you do find something astonishing or unsettling, remember that countless others have walked this path before you. After all, in the realm of 3 a.m., the stories are never quite finished. They're always unfolding, waiting for the next soul brave enough to wake up and discover them.